So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next section of our show, which is classic movie reviews. What's a classic to us? That's a movie that's at least 25 years old, is in high critical standing, and has a good following of fans. Ryan, what movie did we watch?
1941's The Maltese Falcon.
Starring the great Humphrey Bogart. I'm going to go ahead and let you take this one first. By the way, this was a movie that neither of us had seen before. Mm-hmm. We finally did one of those.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me your overall thoughts and a bit of a breakdown into The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, so I will say it did start off a little bit slower than I initially thought it would be. And we didn't really see the Falcon until the end.
Yes.
But this private investigator is told that he wants to be, or someone wants to hire him to find his sister, or to find this girl's sister. And then as the movie unwinds, he slowly realizes the real reason that he was hired, and not hired to find this girl's lost sister, but really to help find this Maltese Falcon that everyone has been after since the 15th or 16th century.
Yeah.
That is very, very pricey, to say the least. But it's very interesting to see how this film noir just kind of unravels, and how you find out a little bit more as it goes on, and how more details are figured out. And one thing I really liked about this, because I looked it up on the IMDb trivia, and because I kind of noticed it throughout the movie, the movie is kind of shot from behind Humphrey Bogart's shoulder.
Yeah.
That way we're watching everything unravel from his perspective, which I thought was very, very fascinating.
Yeah, and really quick, speaking to that, the only scene that he's not in is a scene where one of the characters is murdered, and apparently that was put in at the studio's instance, and the intention was to have him be in every scene, because of all the murders in the movie, you only see that one, which felt kind of weird, and that's why. But yes, go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, no, I just thought that was very fascinating, and I really liked a lot of the blocking and the way that the shots were constructed. It has some really good lines in it. I thought one of the funniest lines in it was whenever the cops are trying to get into his apartment and try to figure out and want to question him about the murder, because they think that he murdered his partner.
Yeah.
And then they hear a scream from inside the apartment, and they're like, "Oh, I guess we're coming in now." And he's like, "I guess you are."
Yeah.
I just thought that bit was so funny. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts. I really liked the movie. It was very interesting to see how the film was shot from his perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was really interesting to see. And I'm piggybacking off of what you're saying. I really enjoyed the film as well. I think it did a good job of setting up how the Maltese Falcon may seem meaningless to us, but to these characters it seems very important, and it kind of has a presence over the film without actually seeing it, which is hard to pull off, and I think they pulled it off well. I thought Humphrey Bogart's performance was excellent. I thought pretty much every performance was great. It does a really good job of sort of unraveling the mystery and just sort of figuring out more and more as the movie goes. There are some scenes that are a bit heavy in exposition, which I thought was a bit unnecessary, especially because you had an opening crawl sort of explaining
everything about the Falcon.
So getting it again was kind of it didn't really make sense to me. But the only other negative I really have about the movie is some of the screenplay was a bit inconsistent, and what I mean by that is there's a scene where he's talking with the big honcho, leaves for a random scene where he gets accused of doing something, only to walk outside and have them be like, "The honcho wants to speak with you again." Then they go back to the same location and pick up the conversation, and I'm like, you couldn't have just had the whole conversation a scene ago and then moved on?
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, give me your answer if you want to find out about the Falcon at 5 o'clock," and then it's not like the story continues when he leaves.
Yeah, it's not
He's
like a
around.
bunch happened. It's just this random intermediate thing, and then he goes back. So there's a couple instances of that, but other than that, I thought the screenplay was pretty tight. The dialogue is great. There's an excellent line at the end, the stuff that dreams are made of, which really was interesting to me, especially when it shows that character's kind of motivations towards the end of the film. And I like that he didn't play a fully nice character. He was just this wild card, basically.
Yeah.
And he obviously, while he had somewhat of a moral compass, he was also very monetarily motivated, which makes sense. And they do a good job of showing that. And I think overall, it was a really good movie. I enjoyed an overwhelming majority of it. And like I said, only some script issues, but nothing to really detract from the movie all that much. Can you think of any other negatives sort of off the top of your head?
No, just really the excessive dialogue, like you pointed out, because there was times where I was just like, man, this character's still talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like it felt like that they could say what they needed to say in a lot,
Mm-hmm.
in fewer words.
Yeah.
And it's just really a shame that like it just kind of like lost me in some of the dialogue bits, and I was just like, can we just like move on with the story? Can we progress? Because like you said, they have that whole opening scroll talking about the Falcon and like why all these people were after it. But I did like how you said that how the Falcon like has this presence over the film, because they talk about it pretty much from like 20 minutes into the movie on.
Yeah.
And you don't see it until like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. They did a good job of sort of setting that up and its, purpose and what it serves. And big spoilers, but when it's revealed that the one that they have is actually a fake, you actually feel like, oh, damn, in that moment, because they've set it up so much to that point. And also, the movie does a good job of keeping the audience on its toes. And like there are some long dialogue sequences. Suddenly, the movie will change direction, and it won't feel sudden or jarring, and it will stay interesting. It was never an uninteresting turn.
Yeah.
So the movie does a good job of like when you think it's going in one direction, it'll take a slight merge this way to where it's not completely crazy. It's enough to be believable, but also enough to kind of keep you guessing.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I really, really like the Maltese Falcon. I'm glad that we got a chance to watch it. It's one that has been on my watch list for years and just never got around to doing it. Thanks, HBO Max. But yeah, what's going to be your overall grade on the film?
Probably 4 stars out of 5. Like I really loved the film noir of it. I loved how everything was shot from the PI's perspective. And we really felt like we were with him in his journey because, like you said, he was in it for like every scene except for the one murder scene.
Yeah.
But 4 stars out of 5. What about you?
Gotcha. I'm going to give it an A.
Okay.
Like I said, there were a couple script issues and just, some other things that got under my skin more than normally. But, it's something that I can't ignore. But, it's still a fucking phenomenal movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really like the Maltese Falcon, and I'm glad that we watched it.
Absolutely. That is definitely a classic.
Yes.